You have been trained to push the desire forward, to tighten your mind around it, to keep it alive with effort, and you call that faith. But the moment you strain, you confess to yourself that it is still not yours. That is why you feel that quiet frustration, not because you lack power, not because you are doing too little, but because you are assuming from the wrong place. You are assuming as one who is still waiting, and waiting is a state. A state has a life of its own. It produces its own evidence. If you are seeing this, it has begun, not because a sign has appeared outside you, but because something inside you is ready to stop pleading and start being. You do not bring a desire to pass by chasing it with imagination. You bring it to pass by moving into the identity that already possesses it, quietly, decisively, without argument. There is a point, a subtle point, where you stop trying to create and you begin to occupy. Most never notice it. They keep doing the act, but they never complete it. And so the mind remains on watch, on guard, on trial. Tonight I want to show you the difference. And when you see it, you will understand why your greatest effort has produced the least movement, and why the moment you stop reaching, life begins to rearrange itself. But first, you must recognize the one mistake you keep repeating, even when you think you are doing everything correctly. And it is not what you think it is, because it happens after you imagine, and that is why it has been escaping you. What happens after imagining that completes the act?
When you imagine the end, most people treat it as a picture, a scene, a little moving image in the mind. They think, if I can see it clearly enough, it will come. But imagining is not the act. Imagining is the door. The act is what you do after you enter. After you have seen what implies fulfillment, you must let the mind accept one simple conclusion. It is done. Not as a hopeful phrase, not as comfort, but as a decision. And you can tell when you have decided, because the inner debate stops. Not completely, but enough. Enough that you no longer feel you must make it real. You feel no urgency to repeat it. You feel no compulsion to check it. The mind becomes quiet, not because you are forcing it to be quiet, but because it has received an instruction it can obey. Many of you have been repeating your scenes, not out of devotion, but out of fear. Fear that if you stop, you will lose it. Fear that if you relax, nothing will happen. Listen. You do not lose what you have accepted as yours. You only lose what you keep calling not yet. And that is what constant repetition often is. A subtle not yet. If you want to know whether you have truly assumed, ask yourself a simple question. In the quiet, do I feel like I am becoming, or do I feel like I am waiting to become? The Lord does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And if you are still one who is waiting, you will keep meeting waiting. Now here is what most miss. Even after you decide it is done, there is a second movement, so small it can be overlooked, and without it, the mind returns to watchfulness, and the state remains incomplete. In the next act, I will show you that movement, and it will explain why you feel the urge to look for proof, because that urge is not your enemy. It is a message, and you have been misreading it.
You call it looking for signs. You call it checking the world. You call it seeing if it's working. But what is it really? It is not curiosity. It is surveillance. And surveillance is not faith. It is the posture of one who believes the world is the source, and the mind must convince the world to cooperate. When you finish the imaginal act properly, you do not feel the need to patrol the day for confirmation, because you are no longer trying to extract certainty from events. You are carrying certainty within yourself, quietly. The second movement is this. You must withdraw the desire from the realm of future and place it into the realm of present fact, not through effort, but through acquiescence.
a yielding of the inner argument, a surrender of the inner maybe.
You do not have to shout, "I believe." You do not have to push against doubt. You only have to stop granting doubt your attention. Stop negotiating with it. Stop explaining to yourself why it will happen. Stop reminding yourself that it could happen. Because the one who has it does not argue for it. He lives from it. You may say, "But my senses show me the opposite." Of course they do. The senses are messengers of past assumptions. They are loyal to yesterday. They do not have authority over what you are assuming now. So the second movement is not changing the senses. It is changing your relationship to them. You let them speak, and you do not bow. You do not panic. You do not correct them with frantic inner speech. You simply remain. When you do this, something very strange happens. The desire becomes less noisy. The hunger weakens. The longing softens. And many people become frightened right there. They think, "I'm losing it." No, you are completing it. Because longing is proof that you are still outside the state. And when you enter, you cannot continue to long for what you are being. But here is the danger. If you misinterpret this quieting, you will try to bring the longing back. You will try to feel motivated again. And you will reopen the state of waiting. So in the next act, I will show you how to recognize the quieting as a sign of completion, and what to do when the mind says, "Do it again, just to be sure," because that impulse is the final test.
When the mind says, "Do it again," it sounds reasonable, it sounds careful, it sounds responsible, but it is the same voice that has kept you in circles, because it is not asking for repetition, it is asking for insurance, and insurance is purchased by those who are not certain. The law is simple. Assumption hardens into fact. Not assumption plus constant reassurance. Not assumption plus vigilance. Assumption. So the final test is not whether you can imagine more. The final test is whether you can rest, whether you can allow the imaginal act to stand without propping it up. You see, there is a kind of inner stillness that arrives, a calm that does not feel like excitement, a calm that feels almost ordinary, and the ego dislikes the ordinary. It wants drama. It wants intensity. It wants to feel like something is happening. But creation is often quiet, and the state of the wish fulfilled feels natural. It feels simple. It feels like, of course.
So the mind begins to ask, "Why don't I feel the same fire? Why don't I feel that urgency? Shouldn't it be stronger?" No. If you were truly in possession, you would not burn with desire. You would move with certainty, quietly, like a person who knows where his home is. He does not ache for it. He returns to it. Now let me mirror you. You are not failing because you feel calm. You are not losing it because you are less obsessed. You are not doing it wrong because you are not emotional. Often the emotion fades because the state has been accepted. The mind is no longer begging life. It is beginning to expect. So what do you do when the impulse comes to check? When the impulse comes to repeat? You do one thing. You return to identity, not to a scene, not to a technique, to identity. You ask, "Who am I now?" And you answer from the end, briefly, simply, without speeches. Then you go on with your day, not as one who is waiting, but as one who has already moved. And now we come to the closing, because there is a way to end this process that seals it without strain, a way to meet sleep so that the assumption becomes the most natural thing in you. And if you do this, you will stop looking for a beginning, because you will realize it began the moment you became the one who already has it. Let me bring you back to the state, not to the desire, to the state. The state is not excitement. It is not hope. It is not the thrill of imagining. The state is a quiet inner ownership, a settled knowing. You do not ask when, because the one who has it
does not ask when. He moves as though it is part of his life now, and life must rearrange itself around that movement. So tonight, do not struggle with your mind. Do not wrestle with thoughts. Do not demand perfect feeling. Do this instead. Enter the end once, gently, as though you were remembering something true. Let it be short. Let it be simple. And then, let it become done. Not through effort, but through acceptance, a quiet yes within you. If the mind tries to reopen it, if it says, repeat it, check it, make sure, do not fight it, do not argue. Simply return to who you are now. I am the one who already is.
And then allow sleep to take you. Sleep is not an escape. Sleep is the great consent. It is where the conscious guard relaxes and the assumption sinks into being. And tomorrow, do not go hunting. Do not test the day. Do not demand proof to keep your peace. Walk in a quiet way, as one who has already received. You will not need to force life. You will not need to persuade anyone. You will not need to chase a door that is already open. If you are seeing this, it has begun, because you are no longer being taught to try harder. You are being reminded to assume and then to rest. So take this with you, not as a promise, as a posture, as an identity, and let the world do what it always does. It reflects the state you occupy. Now be still, and remain in the feeling of being the one who already has it, and let that be enough.